society's pressures, I don't really listen to them. I'm kind of just like, fuck that. I'm on my journey. And if I want it, I'll go and get it in my own time. And if I don't want it, I'm right where I want to be.
Simone, welcome back to Rain! You're back on our screens. And guys, let's get ready for Picture This. And I'm not going to beat around the bush here when I say this. I'm obsessed with it. It was so good, so funny. It's got a little bit of flavour of Bend It Like Beckham meets Bridget Jones. It's a proper romantic comedy. So obviously in Bridgerton, you got to show your culture and your heritage to the world in a period drama in a new way. But does it kind of mean more to you to do it in this context, in a romantic comedy, where it's literally your culture in your society, in your day and age?
Yeah, I think so. I think, to be honest, in any setting, to have an opportunity to do that and represent and fill some shoes that I feel haven't been filled before, it's always going to be something really rewarding. And, you know, when Bridgerton came out, that was a massive factor of girls who looked like me seeing Kate as the desirable love interest and Edwina, her sister, being the diamond. And it took me a minute to kind of let that land and for me to really understand what that meant. Oh my God, on this subject, Mindy Kaling just got a Hollywood, what's it called, on the Walk of Fame, a Hollywood
Star on the Walk of Fame.
So I teared up seeing that. I genuinely felt that a dream was possible seeing that photo. And I was like, I just think it's, you know, I think it's a thing that's going to take a long time for me to fully understand. But whilst I'm on the journey, I hope that I can help other women and other girls that look like me go, it's possible. And I grew up watching all the 90s rom-coms, like My Best Friend's Wedding, all the Julia Roberts ones, all the Anne Hathaway ones, all the Cameron Diaz ones. I really wanted to be Cameron Diaz when I was younger. I loved all the characters she played. But the girls that looked like me were always the side chick or just the one that didn't win. And that didn't reflect my real life because I've won in real life in many ways. I've also had chaos in real life in many ways, like Bridget Jones or all these things. And the reason why I wanted to do this movie, because I wanted to show the world just the human side of someone and then celebrate the culture at the same time. And that was something that many people in the cast would say, like, oh my gosh, we're having fun and we're portraying comedy without making fun of our culture. The culture is there, but it's our comedic chops that are making people laugh, which is how it should be. It was just really nice to be able to do that.
Yeah. And are you kind of doing it for the younger you? That younger you who was watching those Julia Roberts movies, who was watching those Cameron Diaz rom-coms and couldn't see herself reflected in that way? I
think in the moment, I don't think that way. In the moment, I'm like in work mode and there's all these things and your schedule's crazy and you're thinking actually more about the audience. And now that it's done and it's coming out, yeah, in a way, I would say the younger me is kind of like, oh my gosh, we did a rom-com. And it was, you know, an Indian girl leading it and the Indian family's in there and all these different things. And it ticks all the boxes for the rom-com. So yeah, I guess hearing you say that, yes, now I would say, upon reflection, a part of me did do it for my younger self as well.
How do you think seeing a movie like Picture This would have helped you when you were younger?
I think things would have just felt a bit more normal and accessible.
And I think it's such a beautiful movie in so many different ways because it's almost a love letter to the messy years.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been through those messy years. I feel like I'm still going through those messy years. But your 20s can be very messy, let's say.
Yeah.
What's been like your peak messy moment, Simone?
So about the 20s, I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, I can't help but laugh, but it's like someone is speaking a language, like life is speaking a language, and we're like, sorry, what? The whole time. Yeah. And then I'm about to turn 30. Hopefully, the older you get, you're like, oh, I understand now. Do you know what I mean?
But then every year I get there, I'm like, oh, I get life now.
Yeah.
I've learned all my lessons.
Yeah.
And then you get another load of lessons dumped on you and you're like, oh,
well, the language just gets harder.
And the language gets harder.
So you're like, okay, I thought I understood it. And now there's new things coming. You're like, sorry, what? Can you repeat that again?
Yeah. It's a stunning analogy, babe.
Yeah, honestly, in my early 20s, I was just constantly like, I just don't. I was trying with all my might. Like I was a feisty one. I still am. Like I was very rebellious and I was very like, I want to do this and nothing was going to stop me. But then at the same time, I had all my side jobs and I was trying to date and do all these different things. And I still felt like such a baby. I still felt like I was 12 years old.
Yeah, I still feel like that sometimes. I'm like 12-year-old me is still struggling right here. Like,
Yeah.
give me a break for 2 seconds. And
Yeah.
it's also got the really amazing, messy love life dating situation going on in this movie. And I think we can all testify to the fact that dating in our culture is like the Wild West.
It is, yeah.
It really is. And Pia has a lot of dating disasters, shall we say. Have you got a peak dating disaster?
You know what? I wouldn't ever call them disasters. More definitely lessons. And actually, especially in my early 20s, I think I'm such a romantic. And I think from such a young age, I've always wanted to find my best mate. I always wanted to find like my partner. What I didn't understand was in order to find that, you actually really need to know yourself and you need to like own yourself and be confident in who you are. And I think on that journey of finding confidence for myself, I think I just got myself in some really Wild West, crazy situations, where my heart and I had good intentions of like, okay, I'm going to find the one. Like, this is going to be it.
This is it. This is him.
Exactly.
We're done. Tick.
Exactly. But then it is a gift when you do meet the people that just love you for who you are, like full-heartedly love you for who you are. And, whether they continue or not, it is a gift because it just, like, for example, this is a really sweet analogy actually, and it's so true. There's someone who's very, very close to me who always was like, oh my God, you have the most beautiful hands. And when I was younger, my early 20s, I had a dog. I still have my dog, but like I was just getting a new puppy. I was walking my friend's dogs. I had like chipped nails. I was biting my nails all the time. I never had a manicure. My hands were like rough. And that was me. I was just like, woo, like whatever. I didn't care. I was like, I'm such a tomboy. And then I met this person and they were like, God, you have the most beautiful hands. And now I take care of my hands so much. And I look at my hands and I'm like, I've got really beautiful hands. So I think it's a contrast. I think amongst the chaos, you will find your little stars that just make you go, oh, it's all worth it. Or the chaos is up here, but actually the grounded love that you find that's what we're going for.
And there's things you can look after yourself on a micro level, like the hands. You're like, I'll get that manicure, babe. It make me feel a little bit together.
Yeah.
I'll make that bed. I won't maybe start dating that bad boy again. You can. There's things you can check
bad
yourself
boys,
on.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll move on from that.
We love a leather jacket and a motorbike.
We've done it. Been there, tick. We don't need to see them again.
Yeah.
Fabulous. But also, this movie also really speaks to societal pressures placed on women to get to a certain point in life, have the marriage, have the kids, have this successful career, and all those incessant questions that come with that as well about when you're going to get married, when you're going to have the baby, when you're going to do this. How do you deal with that societal pressure yourself? And how do you deal with those really annoying backward questions when they come up? Because they come up constantly, don't they?
Yeah. Look, I think everyone is different. So it's hard for me to kind of speak on everyone's behalf or like set an example of like the best way to think. I can only speak from my personal experience and I'm still figuring it out. Like my dream would be, I would absolutely love to have a family one day. Like that's a big dream of mine. Lots of dogs, lots of babies. Like I would love that.
Your hands are going to be full.
Yeah.
Those
right?
beautiful hands are going to be full, babe.
Exactly, right? Manicured.
Manicured, but full.
But yeah, like I also want my career and I also want to achieve, I want to take over the world. I want to do so many things. But so yeah, there are times when I feel I'm not a perfect person at all. There are times where I'm like, God, when? Like, how? What if? And I look at some of my friends who are getting engaged or having babies, and I'm kind of like, I feel a bit like, oh my gosh, like, when am I going to do that? And then I'm like, oh, I've got my career and I've got all these other amazing things. And it's this weird balance of like, I love this, but actually I kind of want that. And for me personally, when I'm the best version of myself and when I'm grounded and I'm like rationally and logically thinking, I'm like, I've got all the time in the world. And you got to trust that.
Yeah.
The gift of time and playing, like thinking in the long term and not comparing yourself to what other people have. I think that's all I can say from my personal perspective. And I think society's pressures, I don't really listen to them. I think I'm kind of just like, fuck that. Can I swear on this?
You absolutely can swear,
I'm
babe.
like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm just kind of like, I say this to my friends, like whenever my friends are a bit like, oh gosh, like what if someone doesn't like my work? Or what if, even to myself, I'm like, God, what if someone doesn't like this? I'm just like, fuck that. You know, like my friend had something came out of his work the other week and he was like, oh God, I don't know if people get it. And I was just like, just go fuck that. And that is it.
That energy is great.
Yeah, right?
And also when you can get to that point to be like, as long as I'm proud of myself and I've made decisions for me, if anyone wants to judge me on them or anyone wants to judge me on the work, fuck them. Because I've done it for me. And that's the most important thing.
And it's fuck them, not in like a fuck you, like in a mean way. It's kind of just like, fuck it.
Yeah,
like,
fuck it.
Just put it out in the end. You're just like, fuck it. Like,
Fuck it energy is key.
Yeah.
And I think that's also what's so special about this movie because she constantly says that she doesn't want to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that because there's still so much pressure in society and there's still so much judgment around women who do not want to get married through choice or don't get married. And we kind of do need to say, fuck that.
Yeah.
To that kind of narrative.
Totally, because it's so, I guess, kind of connecting it from what I was saying before, it's just distracting you from what it is that you want, you know? Like, oh, well, it's like all these like noises and it's just like, fuck that. Like, I'm on my journey. And if I want it, I'll go and get it in my own time. And if I don't want it, I'm right where I want to be.
And on that journey, we need to be celebrating people's achievements and not just their life moments as well, their personal life moments, the marriage, the kids, the baby showers. Like, why aren't we throwing promotion parties?
I know. Oh my God. I think it was FKA Twigs. I don't know why I remembered this, but she did a Vogue cover. And in her interview, she said, I never used to do this, but I just took my friends out for a curry or something to celebrate my Vogue cover. And it really stuck with me. Such a random piece of information. But I was like, I need to do that more. And then when I got a job, when I got a job this year, actually, I took my friends out to the pub. We need to do that more.
We need to do that more.
Yeah.
And celebrate those wins.
Instead of a baby shower.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
100%.
Yeah, or if your dog wins a grooming prize.
Babe, thank you for bringing it up.
You really... No,
I haven't had a party for that yet.
Yeah.
But as soon as I do, you're invited, babes.
Thank you.
Yeah, get some honour.
Yeah, bring your own, like, whatever. I'll make a cake.
Thanks, babes. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
The most popping party you come to this year.
Yeah.
No, but I love the fact you took your friends for dinner to celebrate your win. That's incredible.
And I felt a bit nervous at first. I was like, oh, like, hope this isn't weird. And then they were like, whatever, like, we're just coming to hang out and celebrate you. And we all just did a cheers and then we just had a laugh.
Yeah, I love that.
That should be more normal.
Let's
Congrats on
that.
your baby. Congrats on your win.
Yes, exactly. And be treated the same.
Yeah.
Because they mean different things to different people and they can mean just as much as having a baby.
Totally.
100%. I think what was also interesting about the movie is it speaks a lot of societal pressures, but it speaks a lot about cultural pressures as well, especially around Indian culture as well.
Yeah.
Have you experienced pressure within your culture to perform or be a certain way? And how's that played out for you?
I'm so blessed to have such an amazing mum who really, gosh, with all her might, she really set me free. And she could see from a young age how much I wanted to do what I wanted to do with my life. I think there was part of her that was like, gosh, I want to be a fighter pilot, or I want to do something that was really unheard of in that kind of culture for a woman to fulfill those kind of roles. So I think when she saw the same kind of spark in me, I think she's like, okay, yeah, go on then, like go and do it. And I think she just, I really look up to my mum because she's got really amazing values. She's just like, you just have to be happy. It doesn't matter when or how, just be happy, like real happiness, you know, with good values. So I never felt the pressures there. I felt it from surrounding family sometimes. A bit like, what is it that you do? And you're just kind of like, I just feel like, again, it's like a language that people maybe don't speak. Oh, I didn't get a degree. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. But I'm really good at what I do. And I guess, yeah, and just, so there's those kind of pressures. But I think when it came to this movie, I just want brown women to have it, you know, and to just win without being like, oh, well, there's this little thing, or don't forget about that, or what about this, or what about that little error, or that detail, or whatever. And it's like, okay, those things are important, I guess, but what's more important? Just letting a brown girl win. I think women, generally speaking, brown women, or just universally all women, experience that criticism. But sometimes I feel like if it was a guy, it's like, oh my God, great job. Like, great job. But if it was a girl, it's like, yeah, good, but actually, what about this and what about that? And you're just like, I'm just trying my best here.
Yeah, I'm just trying my best.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. And I think what's so incredible about you is you dream so big.
I do.
And it's so important to see that, especially in a society where we love to put limits on women and women of color, especially. How important has it been for you to dream the biggest you possibly can?
I think a lot of people, society was always like, oh, well, you shouldn't really do that. Or actually, it's a bit safer if you do this. Or, you know, maybe it's a bit more predictable if you do this financially or whatever. Or you can't do that because you're brown. And it all felt quite external to me. It just felt like, oh, just someone just going like that on my skin. And it was just a bit like, oh, that's annoying. But I didn't ever believe it because it just felt so external. But the dream, that ability to dream and think big and dream big, came from internal. It was mine and no one could touch it. I realized from a very young age, if I lent into that more, things started to happen. But if you lean into the external more, things don't happen. You kind of lose your momentum. And I guess I just always had a strong relationship with myself. I was just always such a dreamer. And maybe it's manifestation. I don't know if, I just kept following that and it was working. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just keep doing this. I never, regret in life is a natural thing. And there's always going to be things that happen that one might regret, but I never wanted to regret, oh my God, I could have done something and I didn't.
Yeah. Because regret will always haunt you more than failure.
Yeah.
It's the number one rule I always live by. It's
Yeah.
Katherine Johnson-Thompson came on the podcast in season 1 and told me that. And ever since, it's propelled me forward. Because if you're not going to dream big for yourself, then you're just going to regret it in the end of the day. And yes, failure is going to be part of that process and it's going to come up and it's going to bite you in the ass sometimes. But you got to just keep going.
Yeah.
Especially when you're faced with people who are telling you you can't do something, like you were saying.
Yeah.
When have you felt othered or that you couldn't do something?
I think a lot of time when I've been in a room of men, I've felt really, because, I can be a girly girl if I want to. I can wear my heels and look tall and have my makeup done and my hands manicured. Like, that's me. And that's fucking okay. But if I'm in a room of men, the way that they can perceive that is, she doesn't know. Like, she doesn't think. She hasn't got the ability. And then when I'm in a room of men, I do feel I have to like kind of speak a bit louder and explain myself even more. Fight the urge to prove myself. Because that's something I try to not do. I don't like proving myself because that's going against that inner belief. It's like, okay, they'll see. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think when I've been in a room of guys, I've always felt a little bit like maybe I can't do this. But then that's my lesson and my challenge to how can I walk into a room like that and be like, right, okay, and lead it, and just be confident. And that's a journey. Yeah. Sometimes I can do it and sometimes I'm like, don't know if I've got it.
When are you proudest of finding your voice in that situation?
When people listen. And people listen, I think, when what you're saying, you really believe it. There are times when I've tried to be like, okay, I've got something to say and I feel a bit wobbly and people don't listen. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's because I didn't really believe it. And I'll try again and I'll really believe it. And people listen. So, it comes from yourself.
when you now are in this situation where on Picture This, you are an exec producer.
Mm-hmm.
So you are able to dictate the tone on set a little bit more. You are able to have a bit more power behind the camera.
Yeah.
I was wondering, because obviously you were on Bridgerton, which is Shondaland, which is run by the most incredible, powerful women in television, powerful people, full stop.
Yeah.
Have you taken a lot of lessons from that going into having a leadership position?
Yeah. I would say every job I work on, you learn lessons from the people you look up to or work around. You know, the women working at Shondaland for Bridgerton, they are powerhouses, and they're also years more experienced than I am. So I take notes, take mental notes. And for Picture This, yeah, I was really proud of myself. There were moments where I was like, no, this needs to be more like that to be believable, or actually this deserves a bit more light to be shone on it. I'm involved in all the meetings, even with like the marketing of the movie and stuff, and it's, there are certain areas that aren't my lane, and it's like a meeting of like 50 people, and then it's like, cool, has anyone else got anything to say? And I'm like, yeah, I do, and I have to articulate myself and say, hey, as a young brown woman leading this and producing this, it's my responsibility to just make sure that there are certain aspects that we're doing here where the community feels seen. And I'm like, I'm kind of like, gosh, I hope they listen. And then they do. And I'm like, I can do this. Do you know what I mean?
And it makes it easier every time you then use your voice from then on.
Yeah, it's a journey. It really is.
100%. And it's so important to go on that journey.
Yeah.
And push yourself to go on that journey. Because I think so many times we think, oh my God, I can't say that. Or, oh, I don't know how people are going to react to this. But as long as you're speaking your truth, and as long as you're doing it in a great way, and you're doing it in a kind way, and it's coming from the right place, go for it.
Totally.
100%. You are honestly so booked and busy. It's incredible to see. And if not only are you so booked and busy with your acting career, babe, but ... you're about to embark on a music career, babes, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
Tell me about how this has all come about.
So I've always been a singer. I always did singing before acting, and I kind of got taken away with screen acting for a while. And I was always like, gosh, I really want to sing. I really want to either find a musical movie or something like that. And then just the idea landed 2 years ago with one of my agents. And I was just like, maybe I should record music. Maybe I should just make an album where it can live forever and I can showcase like a project. And then years went by and I started making connections. One with Universal Music, who have been, Mark's just been incredible at helping me develop all of this. And then I got sat in front of Fraser T. Smith, who's my producer, and he is just the most amazing person and the kindest human, the most amazing friend. And he just really believed in me. And that was it. And then, we've been in the studio for like on and off a year now. I'm going to play you some stuff, not here, but maybe later.
Oh my God, can't wait.
Yeah. So I'm really, that is a journey as well. It really is. There are days when I'm listening to my stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And then there are days I listen to it and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm nervous about it. But that's being an artist, And actually I have to remind myself, it's fine. You're doing the right thing if you're feeling like this. So
what's it been like stepping into a completely different creative process and the challenges that come with that?
There's similarities because sometimes I do feel a song somewhat is storytelling. I've been writing music and songs for years now. I have a book where I just write everything. And the process of that has been quite magical when it's been like something that happened to me and then I put it as poems on a page or words on a page. Or I hear something that clicks in my brain and I write it down and then it turns into lyrics and then we go into the studio and then we mix it with a beat and suddenly it just comes alive. And suddenly sometimes songs that were maybe written from a place of heartbreak end up being a dance cry banger or
Oh my
like
God, are you
something
doing dance
positive.
cry bangers?
One maybe is influenced by it.
Babe, you're delivering what I needed from this music career.
Yeah.
Thrilled.
Yeah, no, but seriously, like there was one song that was written like from a place of heartbreak, and it was a really grey day weekend when we were writing it. And then when we went to the studio, the sun came in, and suddenly I just, I had a few months of distance from the song, and it turned into something really positive, and that's been a really interesting process. How an idea can be born, but then you almost learn a lesson from it, and you're kind of like, oh, this is kind of what the meaning of it is now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And it's so incredible to push yourself to do something new, especially in the public eye where you have a lot of eyes on you. People love to criticize and they love to jump on a bandwagon. So for you to say, do you know what, I'm going to give this a go and I'm doing it for me is so powerful, and so many people can learn from that.
Yeah. I do think we're in the era of multi-hyphenate artists.
Yeah.
Really. And like, fuck it. Why not?
Fuck it, babes. Do it.
Yeah. And it makes me happy. Truly. And I think I believe in myself, and I have amazing people who believe in me. So I'm kind of like, why would I sabotage this?
And something that kind of rolls through your whole career is that you find amazing collaborators and you find great communities of people. Because on Bridgerton, what's so incredible about that is I was at the launch of, I was at this like love event that they did the other day.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Super cute. And I was thinking one of the things that I love about Bridgerton is I love the community of actors that are on it. And I love that idea of it being this incredible supportive environment. And obviously you work with Jonathan Bailey, you built this incredible relationship with him on and off screen. How much has building those relationships on Bridgerton really helped you as a person?
What it's done and what it's created is this incredibly strong foundation that feels like a home whenever we go back. I was on, I think 2 weeks ago, I was doing a scene with all the girls, and it doesn't matter what you're up to, what's happening in your work life or anything, you come back and you're just a unit, and people, you speak the same language, you feel it's a really hard thing to describe. Like, I just think it's definitely supportive, and it's just, we all want the best for one another. So it's a really positive thing.
And it's a really unique situation where you take the lead and then you pass the baton to someone else. So Phoebe's passed the baton to you, you pass it to Nicola, now Nicola's passing it to Yerin. And also Yerin is now creating more representation in period dramas, which is incredible to see. Have you guys had any conversations around that journey?
Yeah. I have spoken to her. I think it's kind of a tradition that when the next person gets announced, you follow them, you slide into their DMs.
Yeah.
And then, I saw her on set for the first time a few weeks ago. I mean, she's just such a cool chick. She's very confident. She knows what she wants. She knows what she's doing. And sometimes it's kind of like, it's playing that dance of, hey, I'm here for you if you need anything, and I'm cheering you on. But it's also like, you got this. Like, you have got this.
Yeah. And letting them fly and supporting them and cheerleading them on that.
And each season is so different, which is such an incredible thing.
And we all need cheerleaders in life.
Yeah.